Hi, I am Mia Lamont, your host for the Brand Disruptors podcast. I've been a disruptor all my life, and I'm here to help other women step into their own greatness so that they can get paid to be themselves. I decided to start this podcast because I wanted to show other women how I and women like me took their life's disruptions and changed their lives and the lives of others, not to mention broke the mold in their industries. Look, branding is all about who you are at your core, the person that your soul is calling you to be. So get ready to step into your power, own your authenticity, and show up like the boss that you are. If you enjoy all aspects of personal development, you are in the right place. Let's get started. Welcome to today's episode where I am interviewing my friend Rebecca from Rebecca B Coaching. She is the one who is going to help you bridge the gap between your therapy and the person that you were always meant to be. She runs this coaching program called Finishing School, and that's exactly what she's helping you do. She's helping you to finish the work so that you can clear the energy and have the life that you've always dreamed of and finally get over those things that have been holding you back. So have an amazing time listening to Rebecca. And as a bonus, we have added even some more information about her coaching and her process. So that is in the show notes. And I know you'll enjoy this and get a lot out of it. Talk soon. Rebecca, what's up? How are you?
I'm good, Miss Mia. How are you?
I am doing so well, so well. I wanted to first tell the audience a little bit about how we met. We were both in this group coaching program, and we just kind of connected on a post, right?
That's
Connected
right.
on a post, and you were passing through North Carolina, where I lived at the time, and you were like, "Hey, let's meet for coffee," and we did, and so we became really fast friends, had a great conversation, and we've kept in touch ever since.
I'm actually remembering I came across that post recently and I had posted my world's best boss socks that I was like looking for my people.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that I was moving through North Carolina. At that point, I thought I was moving there. So yeah, it was so amazing that we got to actually meet up in person and
I
talk
know.
shit.
And that never happens to me because I don't really talk to people like that,
I know. Yeah.
I have a friend who will talk to anyone, but usually when I'm very intentional about who I talk to, and it has to feel right in order for me to even say something, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Same. There's like an impulse, like your whole sense of your, like your body is like, I'm going to go talk to that person. It's very pointed for me too. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
glad we did connect.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So why don't you describe yourself a little bit to the audience, let them know what you do and what you're all
Sure.
about, and then we'll get into some couple of rapid fire questions so they can get to know you a little bit better, and then we'll talk about your work.
Okay. So my full name is Rebecca Bromberg Polan, and I am a mindset and healing coach. I'm trained in mindfulness-based somatic psychotherapy, and I specialize in helping women, entrepreneurs, and professionals who are stuck in survival mode get past that so that they can thrive in more of a joyful and successful state. And the way that I do that is, in a nutshell, you could call it inner child healing, but it's much more precise than that. It's working with the many, many little parts that map to limiting beliefs that hold us back. If you can't tell by the way I'm talking about it, I love it. I work with, I love working with people one-on-one, but also groups. I'm finding the group piece is so important because the healing part of mindset work is vulnerable, and so many of our wounds are social, and we need a community to actually kind of be with that vulnerability in a safe way. Like Brene Brown talks about, that safe vulnerability. That's so healing in itself. Sometimes the group is the medicine itself. So that's the work I do, and that's how I do it. Hopefully that's a small enough nutshell.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I want to ask is, so now we're just going to get into this because
Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah. So when you're working in this group setting and people are talking about past trauma and talking about their experiences, do you find it harder for some women to open up, or do you kind of set things up for them to open up right away?
I set a lot of norms around creating a safe container. I talk intentionally in the group program that I run. It's called Finishing School. I talk intentionally at the beginning about like, look at your relationship to being in a group, right? And look at your own judgment and recognize that any judgments that are coming up are about you. And so when you say that to a whole group of people, they recognize that they're safe from being judged because it doesn't matter, because everybody recognizes that any of that judgment is just about your inner projections. So that's a big piece of it. And just normalizing the fact that being in a group is weird, in a healing group. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable. And I had my own experience with that when I was in my training to do what I do now. I was really uncomfortable in a group because I didn't want to be vulnerable. So I was able to speak about that and just like, it's like the elephant in the room. So I was able to speak to the elephant in the room, nip it in the bud. And I got a lot of feedback from my clients that it was relevant and appreciated.
Yeah, because I can imagine, like, if I'm going to be sharing some things that might not have me in such a good light, right?
Yeah,
Or I perceive that it wouldn't have me in a good light, I might not want to share it. I might not actually get the healing from it. So
exactly.
what do you say to people who heard you the first time,
Mm.
but you can still tell that they're holding back, or that they need something else to kind of crack them open?
I would just say there's no wrong response. There's
Yeah.
no wrong response. There's no bad part. If there's a part of you that's not wanting you to be vulnerable, honor that, and get curious. You can't be curious and judgmental at the same time. It's not physically impossible. It's a different brain and body state. So there's a lot that we can do to kind of diffuse that and ease the protections that you're talking about that keep people from being comfortable sharing vulnerably. I'm trained to create a safe container for people. And it's something that like, I feel like one of those terracotta warriors. Like, I feel like I want to protect it, that safety of the space, fiercely. That's the word I'm looking for. Fiercely and compassionately, like both of those words. So really setting an expectation that it's okay. It's okay to not want to share. Like, there's no wrong response, basically.
Yeah.
I love these questions.
So what was it like? What made you decide that this was the path for you, and like this is the work that you wanted to be doing? And like, I'm sure you have your own story. So
Yeah.
tell us what happened.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really feel like I chose the path. I feel like it chose me.
Oh.
And my story to this point was really, initiated by a pretty cataclysmic divorce that shook my life up. My ex-husband had an affair. This is 7 years ago, so I can talk about it very neutrally because I've been able to integrate it. But it really shook my identity up. It shook my life up. Who am I if I'm not married? Who am I if this has happened to me? All of that stuff. And I found I had already been in talk therapy. I had been, recognizing very slowly that this marriage wasn't working for me. But once it all kind of happened, I happened to have moved to a community where there are a lot of holistic healing resources, so a lot of body, mind focused healing resources. And I found a somatic therapist. So somatic means working with the body. And it was amazing how much more effective that was for me than just talking about my problems. I would go in, I would talk about my problems, I would leave, I would feel the same, and so when I found a somatic practitioner, I was able to actually move through it. And at the same time, I was also in a yoga teacher training that was scheduled to begin just after my life kind of shook apart the way that it did. And I was able to, be in a yoga class and like have a big wave of feeling like the grief that's natural, even in a unpleasant divorce. There's still grief. You're still bonded with that person. You've got to dispel it. And the beginning to the end of class, like the contrast between the beginning and the end of class was profound. Like the body mind connection was so powerful to heal this stuff. So my own personal experience of it in such a powerful and potent way, it really like lit my path forward. And then, I was in therapy with the somatic practitioner. My practitioner and two other people all pointed me to a practitioner training. Like 3 different people said, you should try this. And I was like, I'm going to listen to that. 3 different people suggested it.
Wow.
So I really feel like I was pushed onto my path for so many different reasons.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me, did you change up any of the things that you learned to kind of make it your own? Like, I'm
Very
always
much.
talking about being a disruptor, right? In image consulting, like I felt like there were so many issues with the way people saw other people in the world, and I wanted to be the kind of person that brought about change. And I feel like you've done some of that too with what you're up to. Yeah, tell us
I
about it.
appreciate you asking that. Yeah. So I trained alongside therapists, but I knew that I didn't want to go to school to be a therapist.
Right.
And now I know because of my human design, I'm a manifester. So it's like this like fiery energy of getting things started in a catalytic way, and helping people, like give them the training wheels, be the training wheels for a minute, leave, take the training wheels off, and then they're off and running. Like I teach skills for people to go off and do additional healing on their own. I knew that my job wasn't holding somebody's long-term process the way that therapists do. And God bless the therapists who do that.
Yeah.
But also when I came to this mindfulness-based somatic psychotherapy training, my 20 years of mindfulness experience at that point, probably 16 years of mindfulness experience, made me a natural at this method. That and just whatever intuition that had, been uncovered through my life experience. And I was just able to really support people without that other training.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that my like natural place, I'm creating it as I go. I would say that in our life, if you're in a healing journey, the first 90% of it, you're talking about it with a therapist, with a talk therapist, but you're really only getting to the 10% of the thinking that you can get to with talk. And then it flips. So you get to the 90% of the unconscious stuff that's held in the body that I help with, but it takes 10% of the time. So that's why my program is called Finishing School, because it's like, okay, you've been talking about it, you're sick of your stuff, so let's feel it and get through it. And that's the catalytic part. But it doesn't work without the safe container that you've had with your therapist plodding along. You just kind of get to a point where you're sick of it, you're sick of your stuff, you're sick of talking about it and feeling like your therapy sessions are Groundhog Day. And that's where I have other skills and tools in the community, like to help move you to the next step.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I created like I feel like I created a next step that didn't exist before. That's how it feels. It feels like very much a complement to talk therapy, of like this natural, like 12-week, like let's do this catalytically and then go back to therapy. Like I'm referred by therapists to help their clients get unstuck, and then they go back to therapy sometimes. So it's very much complementary.
So if they go back to therapy, are they going back to therapy for the same problem? Or are they going back to therapy for something else? Like they feel like
usually it's like, let's integrate the next level of this stuff.
Got it.
I've dealt with this and now I've uncovered this and I need more support here. But often if it's a 12-week journey, what I would say that's different after working with me is you don't need you don't need a therapist as often as you used to. You have many more skills and tools to use in between therapy sessions. So you might need a therapist every once in a while, once every couple months, once a month, instead of every single week. You've got many more skills and tools and things that you can be doing on your own in between sessions, so that you can kind of stretch your sessions out if you need them. But I would say that's just some of the time that people need to go back.
Yeah, because it seems to me like I was talking to a group of people this morning, and we were talking about this very thing, how you can go to a therapist for years and you're still talking about the same problem. And I was like, for me, I'm more interested in moving forward. Yes, we've talked about it. Yes, I figured out the patterns and all of those things, but how do I move forward, and how do I make sure that I don't make those same mistakes again? Right.
Yeah.
So notice those red flags or whatever it is that makes that keep happening. So you help with that too, right?
Yeah. The power of the work that I do is that it's action oriented. It's about doing things for yourself. It's about setting new boundaries and new expectations and connections and requests for support with people in your world. It's very much real life. So it's really the training wheels coming off so that you can live in a fuller way, and also have more awareness as to what blocks are in your way of living fully. There's just much more awareness when you learn the frameworks that I teach.
Love that. So that's
very empowering. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how you help people disrupt the patterns in their lives, right?
Yes.
The
Yes,
more awareness,
exactly. I like that. There's very much, we're unblocking. So there's 6 common blocks that people have. It can be not being clear, having a hard time taking action. So like procrastination or perfectionism. You might be allergic to finishing projects, which is why my program is called Finishing School. You could be allergic to taking naps and resting, which is such an important piece that we don't recognize. Or you might be allergic to asking for help because you've been disappointed in the past. And so all of these blocks manifest in different ways in our lives. Everybody's got at least one. Most people have many.
Yes.
And so that's what I help people do, is see those blocks and unblock the limiting beliefs that are in the way so that they can, live differently with more awareness and space for choosing differently.
Yeah. So there's one thing that you could tell the listeners today, like if they were having a problem that they've been working through, they've been seeing a therapist or they haven't, like, what's the one thing that you would say would help to move the needle for them?
I would say accountability, like mindfulness and accountability, like have a loving accountability moment with yourself in your journal of like, I take responsibility for X. Even if somebody did something to you, how can you own how it's the imprint that it's made on your body, your mind, your psyche, and recognize that they're just a symbol for what is in you. So that's the empowering piece of like, nobody's coming to save me and nobody did anything to me that I can't, repair within my own body mind system.
Yes, that's really powerful.
Thank
Because
you.
once we take that ownership and accountability, right, we get to change what's happening now. Like you're no longer a victim to whatever it was that did happen, right?
Exactly.
I love that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So do you have, like, we're going to get a little bit into branding stuff now, but do you
Yes.
have a mantra that that you use daily or that you help your clients with or something like that? Do you have one?
I would say the best one that's literally taped to my computer. Done is better than perfect.
Oh
And
God.
when I told my, 5, my parents and my 3 siblings that, I just remember like watching all 5 of their heads explode in front of me. Like, wait, what? I didn't know anything was better than perfect. Like, an engineer told me that because of the iterative nature of design process.
Yeah.
It's so useful for recovering perfectionists. And there's so many of us who struggle with inaction.
Yeah.
We live it all out in our head. We overthink it. Most of us who are perfectionists are really smart, but our intellect becomes a place of a bit of an escape hatch. And so done is better than perfect gets you in your body to take action, which is so important. Like you're saying about action.
One of my former coaches used to say that all the time too. She would be just like, just get it done. Do something, right? Yeah. Yeah. So what would you say, what 3 words would you use to describe your brand?
I would say confident, compassionate. Compassion is a really important piece, and joyful. I think that's really where we're going, like being with the discomfort and the joy that is part of the human experience. So making space for both with compassion and joy, and having confidence in your skill to go from compassion to joy.
And joy is really the reason why we're here, right? We're here to experience the joy and not all of this heavy stuff that we carry around with us that we can just get rid of by coming to see you, right?
It's our natural state. Joy is our natural state. And I don't heal you. Nobody heals you. And not you, Mia, necessarily, but anybody. We don't even heal ourselves. We just make space for healing to happen naturally by itself, the same way that, a cut heals underneath the Band-Aid.
Yeah.
And joy is the same kind of thing. It's there. All we have to do is uncover it.
Yeah. Now, what is your least favorite mode of communication?
Oh, I thought about that. Okay. I don't love email. Not very good about it. But if you send me a voicemail, I might not get it for a year. Like I might be over exaggerating, but voicemail I feel like is a very antiquated mode of communication at this point. But email is more of like, it's a bit of a drag because it just takes, it can really suck your time away.
Absolutely. And
love
try to
voice.
construct it, right? And trying to construct it in the right way to say the right things in the right tone so people don't misconstrue. It's really difficult. I
It
usually
takes a lot of energy to compose a decent email. And yeah, I love sending, like I send out a Monday boost email to my people, but it writes itself in 10 minutes and I'm done, like, but when I have to write a business email or like it's a bit of a drag. But on the flip, I love sending voice memos. Like I love Voxer, that app with my clients and with my friends, we send audio messages back and forth. It's so fun. It's like a walkie-talkie.
Right. I love Voxer too.
Yeah.
All right. So what outfit makes you feel like a total badass?
You know me. When you ask me about like my car, I'm like, I don't know, like it's dented and all that stuff. But I can say, like, I don't think that much about my typical outfit is yoga pants and, getting dressed to take my dog for a walk because we are in 2020, 2021, right? But my favorite thing to wear are like big, gold hoop earrings. Like, I love gold accents. I just think of, I have friends who call them like power pieces. Like I love that, makes me feel like a badass. And my hair, like I just love that my hair it has a personality of its own and does whatever it needs to do. The outfit is kind of secondary, right?
Yeah, I mean, and plus who cares about the outfit when we're looking up here now, right?
Right. Yeah, check up from the neck up.
Yes. Now tell me, like we've talked about your brand stuff before, but what are your brand colors and why did you choose them?
Well, I thought of that today. So I wore this yellow. This is my main color, is this marigold yellow. And I've been called the Bee so much, even before I put it in my coaching name, Rebecca BEE Coaching. I have been told, you remind me so much of a bee. Like bees show up and like they hang out, they land on my hands. Like they're really a big part of just, I think, my personality. I love that bees like synthesize information from everywhere and create something new and sweet. Like and they communicate. Like there's so many reasons that I love the bee. And so that seemed like a natural thing. And the other colors are charcoal gray and white. I just didn't want to do like a bright bee yellow and black that felt a little less sophisticated. So I just toned down the black to like a charcoal gray, just to bring in a little bit more of my personality, which is a little bit more understated than some. So that was the thinking. I also really love that yellow is the color of transformation and wisdom in the yogic tradition. It's the first color you see in spring. It's the last color you see in the fall. Like it's a really transformational color. So I love it.
Me too. And I love that you were able to describe it so well. And you also did the other thing that I tell clients to do is that you made sure that these colors look good on you too, right? These colors work for you and your skin tone. So when you do decide to do a brand shoot, you can take photos with those colors and still look great.
And I think of you a lot with that. I've started to bring in like a fuchsia is the wrong word, but like a deeper pink, deep pink. Sometimes finds its way into my stuff too. It's also cool. Yeah,
I love that pop of color. Yeah. Exactly. So what do you have happening right now that people can, come work with you if they wanted to do this group session? Is that happening soon or what?
That's happening. It's rolling enrollment right now. I have a big new cohort beginning in January, and that's a great time to do it. I don't know when this will air, probably after this, but on the 20th of November, I will be doing an intro to emotional regulation workshop. I do a free workshop on a basically monthly basis that, gets to some of the content that I teach. But if folks are just kind of curious to work with me, I do have a free healing audit where we look at 3 different measures of how you're doing to see where you need to build some skill. And so that's a free offering that I love to do. It's just a short, like 15-minute intake, and then we do a follow-up. So that's the best way to begin. But the finishing school, it's rolling admission. It's a 12-week program. I've priced it extremely affordably because I just care about getting this information out there. But yeah, the healing audit is a great place to begin with me if you're really new. And if you don't feel like talking to me yet, you can just take my quiz, the blocks quiz, which is called How You Get Stuck. And it's got a really silly GIF, but it's grounded in psychology and psychological frameworks so that you're getting really good information in a few minutes.
This is great. So how do people get in touch with you?
Instagram is the best way.
Okay.
Just find me. Rebecca B Coaching is the best way to you can DM me. You can, find my website through Instagram. The link in my bio that's the best way through.
Yeah. And then we'll put all of the information in the show notes too. So you can just click that as well. Yeah. So Rebecca, this has been so much fun. Like we get to talk all the time, but I want people to really understand that, one modality that you've been working in, which could be talk therapy or something else that you've been doing, may not be all that you could do to get to where you're trying to go. And so I'm so grateful that, we met, but also that you introduced this kind of work to me. And I'm sure that the listeners are going to be grateful for it as well.
And thank you, Mia, for just, encouraging us all to be disruptive. I think that's so important. So I appreciate your leadership and I'm really grateful to have been here.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. All right, guys, we will see you guys next time. Thanks so much for being here, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Brand Disruptors podcast. I'm your host, Mia Lamont. And if you like what you just heard, I hope that you will pass along our web address at www.mialamont.com/podcast to your friends and colleagues. And please leave us a positive review on iTunes, download this episode and any other episode that you found to be helpful. And be sure to check out our previous episodes and join our free Facebook group, the Disruptor Society, where we host exclusive content for our members, anything about branding, marketing, getting paid to be yourself, as well as all things personal development. Join me next time with another edition of the Brand Disruptors podcast.